there anything in particular, I know a couple of your staff, maybe you yourself also been out recruiting so far last week. Is there anything you're looking in particular in recruiting this offseason?
We try to always recruit. You always have to be prepared for, for whatever in this crazy industry and profession that we're in. But, we need some size. We need, that was evident in the Clemson game, and certainly we don't play the Clemsons every night of the week. But, when you do get opportunities to play against teams like that, you want to give yourself a chance, and you could feel the difference, in the size on that floor. Could have been just the stage as well, but that combination just felt like we needed to get a little bigger across the board, not just at the 5, but in our other positions as well. So, we want to stay athletic. I mean, I'm a believer in having athletes on the floor, and, I think, I don't buy into the cliche of anyone, can be a good defender. I don't believe in that at all. I think there's a lot of attributes that kids have that make them a better defender, that give them a chance to be a better defender, and certainly athleticism is high on the list, and anticipation and length and toughness, all go into that as well. But so we're trying to stay athletic or even get more athletic, and we certainly like to get bigger as well.
I'm going to put you on the spot. How much are you looking forward to next season here in New Mexico State?
I'm looking forward to it, but we got a lot of work to do before we think about what our team's going to look like. We're in straight recruiting mode. We got back on Saturday, and we were all off and running on Sunday. All of us have been all over the country, doing our work to try to, find some new pieces, some new players to add to the program. And so I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, I mean, we're so far away from really getting our head around of what our team will look like. I don't anticipate us, having the summer and fall that we had last year. I think we'll be able to get our head around it a lot sooner, than we did last year, which will be comforting knowing going into the summer that, I anticipate our full roster to be intact and to know what all our pieces are, and can kind of, put our system in earlier and be more comfortable with it by the time the games hit next year.
I know the guys are coming off spring break, but has anybody asked for their release at this point, or is it just the 4 seniors that are going to be gone at this point?
Yeah, at this point, no. We're just starting individual player meetings today, and we'll have some of them today and tomorrow, and then we won't get to all of them until after the Final Four weekend. But in the next 2 weeks, we'll sit down like we always do with each individual and have interviews and meetings, and just talk about how they felt the season went and where they're at individually, and how do they foresee themselves going forward. And certainly we'll have our comments on the situation as well. And if that happens, it will happen here in the next couple weeks.
Can you give us your thoughts on how Aggie fans are praying that you're back next season? Is New Mexico State doing what you hope is to make it that attractive for you to stay, because you were happy, you had a good season, a great year? People are asking this question. It's just all over the place. We want Jans back. We hope he stays. We hope he likes the university. We hope we can keep the man. Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I love it here. My wife, Sherry, loves it here. The people have been awesome to us, and I've said it time and time again, I love being at a place where the program means so much to so many people in and around Las Cruces, and obviously on campus, but the community and how they feel about this program, and the love affair and the relationship that they have with this program. It really has nothing to do with me. It was my job to integrate myself in this program and to build relationships with the people that love the program. And now being a part of it, I feel more integrated. I feel closer to what it means to these folks that love and support this program, and that's a great feeling. And it takes time for that to happen, and they've embraced us, and we love it here, and we have every intention of being here for a long time. We bought a home right away, and Mario and the administration have been wonderful to us, and certainly we appreciate the opportunity that they gave us, and we're trying to give back, as much as we can. And I know that we didn't necessarily do anything that this program hasn't done, but we were on the cusp of doing something that this program hasn't done in a long time, and certainly we want to bust through that barrier very, very soon, and we're going to work diligently to make that happen going forward.
Did we see the Chris Jans type of basketball this past season that you want to have at New Mexico State? Or did you, because of all the circumstances, adjust to what you had with the time with the players and the staff and all that? But are we going to see anything different change? What kind of evolve are we going to see of New Mexico State basketball?
Well, I want to win every game. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, you can talk to our players. I mean, I told them that time and time again in October that my goal is to win every game we play. And, I'm not saying that we could have, but we could have. I mean, as I look back, I mean, other than the St. Mary's game, I didn't think we were quite ready for that type of challenge, our first road game of the season. Even though we played fairly well, the other games, that we've played in, we could have won every one of them. And that'll continue to be our goal, is to win every game that we play, and certainly to win championships. We played a style of basketball that, I yearn for, that I want my teams to exude in terms of, playing pretty hard and competing all the time and not giving much on the floor and trying to impose your will on the other team. And certainly you have to adjust, your scheme and your style to the players that you have. Now that we've been here, a full year, we'll be more apt to get players that we recruit and that will fulfill what we're trying to do a little bit easier maybe. But, I've never bought into the deal of, wait till you get your guys. They're our guys. From day one, they're our guys, and it was our job to build relationships with those players, and we're continuing to build relationships with players that we signed and that we inherited. I mean, that will continue to get better. It'll get better because we've had more time. We've went through, a lot of stuff this year, and so when you come out of those type of things, I think your relationships are stronger going forward, and I just feel like we'll be in a better place come fall than we were this past fall, just because of the obvious. We won't have the circumstances of the takeover and all the kids thinking about leaving and all the re-recruiting of our own players, let alone the new players, and we won't have as many scholarships as we had last summer, and it'll be a little stress-free, less stress, I should say, than it was last summer. But I think as coaches, I don't have it all figured out. I think it's important to continue to evolve and grow, and I'm already in my mind tinkering with how we should play next year after been through this league and a better feel for styles and schemes that these other coaches are implementing. And so I think it's important for us to learn and grow, and we're certainly going to dabble in different ways to play offensively and even defensively and tweaking our defense. And I'd like to get it. I think our offense needs work. Our defensive numbers were really good, but it makes sense to try to improve yourself on the other side of the ball, which maybe you're not as good at, and that's what we're going to do this off season, is try to tinker with how we play, and certainly you have to adapt to the players that we have. But I think for the most part, we'll continue to play that style that we played this year.
At this point, how many scholarships do you have open?
It's a good question. That'll be determined here in the next couple of weeks with these individual meetings. But I've been doing this for 26 years, and I've never been anywhere where there hasn't been some change, especially the recent years. It's not, individual to, or it's not specific just to this program. It's all over the country. So I'm sure we'll have, some kids that will choose to look elsewhere, and then we'll open up some scholarships. So, it's not, I'm not trying to be vague, and I really don't know at this point, but we'll know way sooner than we did last year.
Are you open to taking grad transfers again like you did this year? And obviously you guys are going to be recruiting the JUCO ranks too.
Just trying to find the best players we can get, man. We're trying to find the guys that fit, our style of play, that fit our culture, that's continuing to evolve. We're so far ahead of where we were 6 months ago in terms of our culture and expectations and how we want our kids to train every day and how we want them to act, and the academic part of it and the social part of it. And we're so far ahead of where we were, but we still got ways to go in that department. But I'm not in that camp of, okay, I want this many high school kids and this many transfers, or I want one grad transfer. I don't care. I want to find the players that we feel we need to move the program forward.
Can you talk about a couple of guys, obviously, that have stood out this year, but JoJo and CJ? Obviously, JoJo, a high major player coming down from Utah, and CJ, and what I saw in a little bit of practice, seemed like, he was a really good player. Like, are you expecting a lot of good things from those guys next year, being that they've played Division I basketball before?
Yeah, they've got a resume, if you will, of Division I basketball, and so you have an idea of what you're getting because of all the video you can watch prior to them joining your program. But it's always different when you're on the scout team and you're not getting barked at for turning the ball over or missing an assignment. The pressure's different in practice because, in the summer and the fall, you work with those kids, but then you get into the games and they're on the other team, and I'm not coaching those guys. And so it's just different. Some of those guys look great when they're on the scout team, and then they get over, to the other team, and their negatives are pointed out a little bit more, and things they're not doing well are more documented. And so they're both, good kids and good players, and it'll be interesting to see how they transition from being sit-out guys to on the team, even though they're on scout, they're on the team and they're part of our program, but it's just different ownership, different expectations on the daily practices and workouts and what have you. But I hopefully that they'll be able to transition over, and I expect them to do that and help our team going forward.
I'm just curious, just because you were in the same conference for a little while, Loyola getting to the Final Four, and Coach Moser, what your opinion is, or I guess how happy are you for them to see them get to the Final Four?
Well, you'd have to go back a long ways, but I worked for Porter Moser for 3 years at Illinois State, so I'm very, very happy for him. He's a great person, great man, great family man, and he's grinding in this business for a long time. He's been head coach for 14 years, and not only did he bust through the door of making the tournament, he went all out and won 4 games, and he's still, alive. He's got as good a chance as anybody else does to win a national championship. And so for me personally, to watch him and go through that, and my wife and Maddie was here for spring break, and we watched him this weekend, and they got pretty emotional, and it was really cool to watch him, go through this tournament. And it's motivating as well. They were 11 seed, and I kept telling our guys going into the tournament that numbers don't matter. We went to the NCAA Final Four at Wichita State. We were a 9 seed. And it doesn't matter. It happens. And how many 9 and 11 seeds were at the Sweet 16? A whole bunch of them. And, again, there's a lot of parity in college basketball. I felt like we had a chance to make a run, and as I look back and watch the game film, I haven't watched the whole thing, but I've looked at it here and there, and we didn't play great. We didn't play awful, but we didn't play great. We played probably like a C+, and I thought Clemson played A-, B+, and if that would have switched, we played A-, B+, and they play, C+, then we win. But it didn't happen. We didn't play well enough to win the game and advance. And I felt like, we were in a good position. We were playing well, and for whatever reason, we just didn't. And they deserved to win. And obviously, they went on and throttled Auburn, and then they're in the Sweet 16 and couldn't get over the hump with Kansas. But again, I'm on a tangent here, but I'm happy for Loyola, happy for Porter and his staff. I know some of those guys really well. One of his guys was a manager for us at Illinois State, way back in the day, and now for them to get experience, this is going to be really cool.
You kind of answered my next question a little bit, but with so many mid-majors like Nevada, Loyola, UMBC, winning a game, having success in the tournament, it kind of, in the past 2 years, mid-majors have had success in the tournament. Is that something you can use for motivation for you guys? And it seems like mid-majors are maybe closing the gap a little bit on the Power Fives, not financially and stuff like that, but
yeah, absolutely. We've been using it. Butler had their run, before they, when they were in the horizon, and then VCU did their deal, Wichita State, George Mason. Those are all in the last, since the turn of the last 15 years of teams busting through and making a run at the Final Four and at the national championship. And certainly having been a part of it, you know what it takes, and you have that experience to share with your players, and we've done that throughout the year, and it continues. Florida State was a 9 seed. They had a chance. Syracuse was, I think, an 11. Loyola is 11. There were a lot of teams, mid-major or not, that were higher seeds that won games in the tournament and made runs. The only disheartening thing is they're not taking as many mid-major teams from the at-large pool. It's like you got to win your league to ensure your league tournament to ensure that you get an opportunity. And I'm not in the room, but that's an argument that we could go back and forth with forever. But they certainly, it seems to me, they don't take as many of the non-Power 5 teams as they used to, and that's concerning.
This is something you've never talked about this year, but a lot is made about the financial strains of this university and this athletic department. But how proud are you as a program to be able to overcome that with the wins you have this year, sweeping your rivals who obviously have a bigger budget than you guys, and how proud are you to see you guys have overcome that as a program despite those financial strains?
Yeah, I don't know if I've been here long enough to really say, I'm proud of overcoming the financial limitations that we have. Most of my career, I've spent time at places where, our budget's huge compared to what I'm used to. So it doesn't faze me, to be honest with you. I'm just glad that I'm riding in the bus rather than driving vans, to get to games, and driving across country with, 8, 9 kids in my van, and my assistant's got 8 or 9 in his, and we're hoping that, we make it to the next spot without bad weather, et cetera. And so that part of it, doesn't really bother me that much. Certainly, you want more to be able to run a first-class program to help the student athletes have a wonderful experience. And Mario has been great to us in terms of fighting and scratching and clawing to help our program, along with all the programs here. Everybody knows that. But in terms of knowing that we've beaten our rivals, or even some other programs that we've beaten this year, and we're on a smaller budget. Again, I don't think about that, to be honest with you, too much. I don't spend a lot of time on it. It ain't going to help it, other than trying to help raise funds to help our program moving forward. And obviously our 6-man club is a huge deal for the success of our program. I don't know what we do without it. And those people that help us, raise those monies are invaluable to this program.
Any other questions?
Can I just throw this at you, Coach? And it hovers back to an earlier question. How significant to you is for the stability of a program to have its head coach there year after year, building that stability, maintaining the level that it's at? You've been very fortunate. You came from a program a team that did well, and then your team did well. How significant is it that they see Chris Jans out there recruiting again for New Mexico State to continue building this program and making it at the level you want it to achieve?
Yeah, I think as an administrator, you certainly want stability in your major sports. I think it's more beneficial to have the same coaches leading your program if they're winning. Obviously, if they're not winning, it's probably not beneficial. But the situation here, they've had some change, a lot of change recently, but it's not ideal. But this program's overcame that, and they've continued to win, even though it's there's a lot to it. It's not just stepping in for a replaced coach and it just happening. Everyone does it their own style and their own way. But certainly, I think it's easier when you get years under your belt and you get a better feel for, the league and your program and the community and the people you work for and your budget and how far it goes and your fan base. And it's ideal for that stability. And certainly, I'd love to be able to be at a place for a long, long time and continue to build on this program. And that's our goal, and that's what we want to do. And I see no reason why we can't continue to make this even better. And obviously, it's a wonderful program. It's got a great tradition, but there's room to grow, and that's what we want to do, and that's our charge. And we're going to work very, very hard to continue to make people proud of this Aggie basketball program.